Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, and for those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Amy. Today I have another Ship With Me video for you guys. It is the day after Martin Luther King Day, so these sales are from over a 3-day weekend. I did ship on Saturday though. It was a pretty great weekend. I have lots of items to ship out, a couple higher dollar ones, but I'm really happy with my sales. Okay, so the first item will start off with a bang. This is the best sale of the weekend. It is a men's vintage Pendleton wool coat, and it is gray wool with this faux fur collar, really in beautiful condition considering that it is vintage. It sold for $174. I am absolutely thrilled with that. I think I had it listed for $229 maybe, I can't remember exactly, but the buyer made me this offer. I thought it was very reasonable, and I paid $10 for this at an estate sale. So after posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $129.20. I am absolutely thrilled with that. I am going to package that up off camera just because it's a little bulky. The next item that sold is a really fun little piece, and honestly it was quite difficult for me to let go, but I just didn't really know what I would do with it. It is this vintage teeny tiny little bird cage charm. It is sterling silver, very delicate and intricate. This sold for $40. It came on a charm bracelet with lots of other interesting charms, and I took them off and listed them individually. And I'm glad I did because they have sold for pretty great dollar amounts, and I really don't think that I would have been able to achieve as high a dollar amount if I had sold the bracelet all together. It also had on there, now I can't think of what it is, is it Chinese calculator, where it has the little balls that you move up and down to calculate things? Can't think of what is that's called. But anyways, it's a teeny tiny little charm, and the pieces actually move on it. It's really, really a cool piece. There was a couple really interesting pieces. Once I split these up, it ended up being about $3 per charm that I paid. So that made my profit $29. I'm happy with that. Like I said, it was pretty hard for me to let that little bird cage go, but I didn't know what I would do with it. So the next sale is a bundle sale, a nice little sale. This sold for $50, these two pieces. And the first item is this vintage little duck brooch. I thought he was pretty cute. And the next item is this teeny tiny little ring, and it's sterling silver, and it has blue diamonds set in there, but it was missing a couple of the diamonds. I'm pretty sure I would have priced this higher had it not had those missing stones. But I got it at the estate sale where I spent $890. So I only paid $3 for the ring and $2 for that little brooch, for a total of $5. So that made my profit $35. You can assume for the rest of the video that when I say my profit, I am deducting any website fees, my cost of goods, and any shipping discounts that I offer. I'm really happy with the number of items that I am sending out today. There are a couple of pieces that did not sell for very much, but they are pieces that I was ready to go, or ready to let go and put in a yard sale. So for those pieces, I am pretty much accepting almost any offer, not under $10, but at $10 is kind of my lowest. But most of the things I just did not pay very much money for. They were kind of impulse buys, and I just need to move them out to make room in my bins for better items. Okay, the next item is this sterling silver braided chain. I thought this was a really pretty piece. However, I just could not get the photos to do it justice. It just looked kind of dingy in the photos, and I tried retaking them in different lights, just didn't work. So it took forever to sell. I mean, years. And it ended up selling for $25. But I really hope that this buyer is pleasantly surprised by how it looks, because I do really feel like it looks better in person than it did in the photos. I only paid about $3 for this, so that made my profit $17. I am totally okay with that because I want this gone. Doesn't need to be hanging around anymore. Here is another piece that took forever to sell, and after I pulled it out, after selling it, I thought that I probably should have removed these charms and sold them individually, because this little bracelet only sold for $18, and it has that a cute owl, what's this, little teapot, a little thimble, and then this little cat charm was really, really cute. And I think if I had it separated, I definitely would have been able to sell them for more. But it is what it is. It was Sarah Coventry brand. So it sold for the $18. I paid about $4 for it. So that made my profit $10.40. Again, it had just been listed so long. And at this point, I didn't really feel like it was worth it to separate it. But also it had already sold. So whatever, we'll just move it along. I hope they really love it. Okay, the next item is kind of a great sale. It is this vintage belt buckle and keeper, and it is sterling silver. So very detailed, kind of etched, engraved, whatever you want to call that. And then the little matching keeper here. I got this on a belt, but the belt was very well worn, too worn. In fact, I thought to list it with this on there. So I just took it off of the belt. I do kind of think it probably would have been better if I could have found another belt to put it on, because this took a long time to sell, but it ended up selling for $50. I paid about $3 for the belt, so that made my profit $37. I'm happy with that and happy to move it along. Again, I just got my hair done. What do you guys think? I asked for a little bit chunkier highlights. I think I like it. Just, it's hard for me to, or I know I like it. It's just hard for me to adjust to any sort of change. So the first day afterwards, I'm always unsure about things. And then once I wash it and fix it, I'm almost always happy. So it is long overdue. It had been over 6 months since I had had my hair done. And I still think it looks good, but I've got grays coming in. And so that was just too long for me. The next item is one of those items that I accepted I think it's appropriate price. I just shouldn't have bought this to begin with. It is an Adidas hoodie, and it did have a big logo on the sleeve, but just wasn't something that I should have picked up. I picked it up at the bins, and that's why I say it was kind of an impulse buy. It sold for $17 with discounted shipping. So $4.99 shipping means that takes a $3 off of the sale price. So it sold for $14. Our bins is pretty inexpensive, so I only paid a couple of dollars for this, which, you know, is one of the great things about the bins is that it's super inexpensive, but also for people who get excited and impulsive like me, that's not always so great, because sometimes I buy stuff that I just shouldn't, you know, even if it is cheap, doesn't mean that I should pick it up. This took over 2 years to sell. And after taking out that shipping discount and the fees, that only made my profit $8.62. This is one of the things that I was ready to pull to just sell at a yard sale or donate. I do always try and sell items at my yard sale before I donate them. And, you know, I think it's individual preference, but I was always taught to kind of make the most of what you have and stretch your dollar as far as you can. That's one of the reasons I'm in this business, is because I grew up thrift shopping and yard selling out of necessity. And so I learned that you can get some really great items secondhand, and you can stretch your dollar super far. So I could potentially make a lot less money than someone else and look like I make more money because I stretch my dollar, and my items, I use them until they're worn out. So, you know, I have gotten some comments lately about resellers being, you know, bad for thrifting and taking away from less fortunate people and making the prices at the thrift stores go up. And while I think those people are totally entitled to their opinion, and that opinion is formed by their experiences, I don't necessarily agree, and I don't think it's true. I think that thrift stores are raising prices because they can, and the cost of doing business is getting more and more expensive. I know that my understanding and view is limited to my Goodwill location, but I've talked to the manager there a number of times, and she said that the theft is insane, and it has increased tenfold in the last couple of years. People will go in there, fill up a cart, and just walk out with all of it. And people say, well, you get it for free, but there is no free business running a business. You know, they have a building, employees, insurance, all the things, and that keeps getting more and more expensive. So they need to increase the prices to pay that. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with most of you guys, but I do think it's an important discussion to have, and I try not to engage or you know, argue with people who have that opinion, because I do think that they're, you know, they're totally entitled to that. And I don't want to be taking a need away from someone who is in need, but I don't think that there is not enough clothing and shoes to go around from the thrift stores. We all know that so many things go to the landfill and to other countries. So anyways, I just felt the need to talk about that. Maybe it was just for myself, maybe it was for other people. But my point is, I do always try and sell my items at a yard sale before I donate them. And that's one of the ways that we go on a lot of vacations, is that we save up things and we sell them. So I guess never judge a person until you know their whole story. The next item that sold is this vintage, maybe 60s or 50s coat, and it is by Lily Ann, which was a pretty famous designer in that era. Some of her pieces can go for higher amounts, and in fact, this piece got a lot of attention. I accepted an offer for $40. It's possible that this is going to another dealer and they're going to resell it for more, and that is just fine. I did not want to hang on to it because of this kind of yarn trim, and it's like an extra small. So I think I listed it for $69 or $79, and I got a couple of offers in that range. And so I just decided to go ahead and accept that and move it along. Plus, it's pretty bulky. I just feel like it is a pretty specialty or unique buyer for this item. So that's why I didn't really want to have it hanging around. And it did sell rather quickly. within, I think, maybe a month or 2 months. I did get it out of the pile that I had right there, which, look you guys, I cleaned that one pile up. I have been feeling overwhelmed by my inventory and money pile, so I am trying to set small goals for myself to just do a little at a time. You know, it did not happen overnight that I got all of this stuff and piled it all up, so it's probably not going to go back to perfect overnight. So just gonna try and do one thing at a time to make me feel like I am making an effort to get more organized, because something that I'm realizing is that the space that we live in or work in can really have an impact on how we feel, and it can feel heavy to have a lot of items or messy items. And so I'm just gonna, you know, kind of set a not super specific goal to make some improvements and remove some of that unnecessary clutter from my vision and mind. Let me know what you guys think about that. I think a couple of you have commented saying that you do feel like, you know, when your space is cluttered, it can kind of occupy your mind or bring your mood down. Okay, I'm chatty today, which isn't really a new thing for me, but this sold for $40. I paid $10 for it because it was that Lillian brand. So that made my profit $22. That's just great. I am happy to move it along. Okay, the next item is another item that took forever to sell. It is this handbag, and it was marked Claire or Clar, C-L-A-R-E. And at first I thought that it was like maybe an early piece from Claire V, which is a really popular and expensive brand. But someone recently commented and said that it was a completely different brand because I had it listed under Claire V. And so I changed it to just Claire, and then it sold pretty quickly, and the person's name is Claire, and it is spelled this way. So I don't know if it was because she has something to do with this brand, or if that's just her name and that's why she bought it. Anyways, I'm appreciative that that person let me know that it was a different brand so that I could change the listing and ultimately make the sale. Sold for $40. This was listed over 2 years. I paid about $6 for it. So that made my profit $26. That's a nice profit. Had it not taken over 2 years to sell. We don't need to be hanging on to things for that long unless they are a really special, unique piece. Then there's some pieces that I'm just attached to and I'm not going to sell unless I get my top dollar for them. That is just fine. Okay, the next item is a Jam's World dress. Now I'll show you the label on this in a second. This brand, some of the pieces can be very collectible and sell for great amounts. I think I've sold a couple of the shirts for over $100 or somewhere in that range. I think when I looked up comps on eBay recently, because I have a couple that I listed, which I think I have overpriced, so I'm going to go in and reduce them. But the comps were in the $60 or maybe $50 to $150 range. Some of the particular patterns are more desirable than others. Anyways, this dress Something about it. Oh, I think it was marked a larger size than it measured at. So that's probably one of the reasons it took so long to sell. But it ended up selling for $35. I paid about $6 for it. So that made my profit $22. Again, happy to move along an old piece. It has just felt so good to get rid of some old inventory that I just kind of felt like was weighing me down. And I mentioned this before, but I was very inspired by Lori Tata doing her kind of, you know, downsize, and I'm really trying to be more cognizant of what I'm buying. Hopefully I just get better and better as time goes, but we shall see. Old habits are hard to break. We know that. Okay, don't go anywhere. This video will continue with what else I sell this week. And as always, if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and make a comment down below. All those things really help me out, and I'll be right back. Hey again, it's Thursday, and I have a few more things to ship out. The first item is this pair of vintage Christian Dior eyeglass frames. They do have the demo lens in them. I bought these from the estate of an optometrist, and I got a whole bunch of these vintage Christian Dior pieces. It's been over a year now, and I still have 10 or so pairs left, and they are selling piece by piece. These sold for $75, which I'm pretty happy about. And actually, I didn't try them on. They're cuter on than I thought they would be. Very, I don't know, what do you guys think? Maybe 1970s or 1980s? Anyways, I might have to try on some of the others that are left over and see if I want to have them turned into sunglasses or reading glasses even. I don't know if you guys can see, but these kind of had like a ombre kind of sunset pinks and orange tones to them. Really, really cute. So I paid $5 a piece for these. Those of you who watch have probably heard this story so many times, but I ended up getting, how many did I get? I can't remember, but I spent $150. So that'd be 30 pairs. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? But it has been such a great investment. Multiple pairs have sold for over $100. So I have probably made close to $2,000 from that sale. So my profit on these was $55. Also, I just picked up this vintage Pendleton coat on Poshmark. Isn't it fun? It's like a kind of cropped bomber, and it's gathered in the back there. I'm so excited. I got a really great deal on it, and you guys know that I love Pendleton, but I'd never come across one in this kind of Southwest Aztec print that was just two colors. Usually they have multiple colors, and anyways, I just really like this. It has really cute details, kind of cuter shoulders, and I'm so excited. And the gal didn't have measurements in the listing, and it was marked medium, so I was kind of afraid that it wouldn't fit because it was a vintage medium. But I think it fits perfect. I'm so excited. And I like red. I just don't always find items that I like the look of that are in red. Okay, so the next sale is a pretty good sale. It is this vintage charm bracelet. Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and attach the safety chain here. Okay. So I was really excited when I got this because I thought that it could be real gold when I picked it up at the estate sale. But it turns out it is gold filled, and it has all these different charms on it. It did end up selling for $99 because there's still definitely some value in these triple charm bracelets. Just the bracelet itself without the charms has value. So I'm not sure, maybe I could have gotten a little bit more for this, but I thought that $99 offer seemed like a pretty solid offer. And this had been listed for a little while. I had it listed for $169, I think. And I paid $10 for it. So that made my profit $69.20. I'm happy with that. And hopefully, you know, this buyer is really excited to get it. Okay, the next item is kind of an interesting, well, it's an interesting piece and then a little bit of a story. I've realized that I really like to tell stories about the items that I buy and sell. I think that that is really part of what I love about this business is, we already know this, that I love the treasure hunting and kind of the history of items. But anyways, so this is a fire agate ring. I think that's right. It's definitely agate. And it's this brown color, but when you move it in the light, it has flashes of orange and kind of rust tones. And then it has little bows on the side. It's sterling silver with 10 karat gold, I think, overlay. And I picked this up. I was going to visit my husband at his steelhead camp, and I stopped in one of the towns on the way there, and there was an estate sale, and I picked this and a couple other rings up for $5 a piece. So what I was saying was interesting, which I guess isn't really that interesting, is that last week someone had asked me to model this ring for them because I didn't have a picture of it on my hand in the listing. And I do like to do that. Some people don't like hands in listings, but I have bigger hands, and so I always want to see what the scale of the ring is on a hand. And so that's why I like to include it in my listing. So I did understand why she was asking, but I wasn't going to be able to come to my shop for a couple of days or something. And so I let her know that I would try and get a picture when I got back to my shop. And she waited a couple of days and then asked me again. And so I did it. And then she just didn't respond at all. And I don't know, I guess she's under no obligation, but I always feel like when I ask someone for measurements, I at least say thank you when they do it, even if I'm not going to buy it. And I have this happen a lot where people are persistent and then I add it and then there's crickets. And I just feel like it's polite to say thank you. It's not going to work out for me, or I appreciate that, or whatever. Anyways, this gal didn't buy it, but someone else bought it for $70. So maybe me adding that modeling picture and then I added a video to it. Maybe me doing that made it sell. So that just goes to show sometimes it is worth it to add, you know, what people request. Okay, so it sold for $70. I paid $5, so that made my profit $51. I think that's great. This did take a while to sell. I would say probably more than a year. Okay, and it's funny, I sold another little charm. I hadn't sold hardly any charms for a long time, and then in the last week or so, I've sold quite a few. This is a little deer or stag charm, and it only sold for $13, but I don't, it's not even sterling silver, it's just silver tone. I paid about $1 for it, so that made my profit $6.07. I think it was $13 with $4.99 discounted shipping, so that means it only actually sold for like $10. That's all right, it's gone. I am happy to move through these charms, and you know, it maybe makes me think it's more worth it to list them even if they're lower dollar amounts, because when I list charms, I usually bulk list them and I photograph 20 at a time, and I copy and paste the description and then just change like the keywords from, you know, deer to Washington to owl or whatever, and it just makes it really quick and easy to list. So anyways, like I said, it is Thursday, so I will be back on Saturday to share what else I sell. Don't go anywhere. This video will continue. I'll see you in just a bit. Hey, again, it is Saturday, and I only have one more thing to ship out. It was pretty quiet the last couple of days, but I am happy that this finally sold. It is a lightweight jacket by Stussy. And this was popular, this brand, when I was in high school. And when I saw this, I kind of picked it up out of nostalgia. And I had felt like this brand was making a comeback. And I do think it is, but this was a size extra small. So I think maybe that's why it took so long to sell. I think it took close to a year to sell, but it did end up selling for $49. An interesting thing, when my husband and I were just in Honolulu, Hawaii, there is a Stussy, I should have looked up how to pronounce that. Anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. There was one of this brand's stores there, and it was very close to the hotel that we were staying at. And every time we walked by there, there was a line outside of minimum 30 people waiting to get in there. So I don't know if they were just waiting for specialty merch that said Honolulu on it, or what the deal was, but it didn't matter what time of day or anything. When we went by there was a ton of people in line. And then I noticed that, it's Holly, is it eBay Princess? She recently posted about some Stussy stuff, and that there were some pretty high comps. So I guess maybe look into that a little bit more, or I'm going to look into it a little bit more and see what it is that's selling for good prices. Maybe there's a collab that I wasn't aware about. Anyways, I think it's definitely something to look into. And this sold for $49, so that's great. I think I paid about $6 for it, so that made my profit $33.20. That is just fine. I guess it is the week that I'm wearing all my Pendleton coats, because I am wearing this one too. And I don't know if you guys have seen this one. I love the colors on this, but I have trouble styling it. I did get it at the actual Pendleton store, but they used to have a like seconds rack, or like they said flawed, but it was brand new, and it would just be like if it had a little overstitch on the pocket or something. So I got it for half price, and I just couldn't resist because of the colors. Anyways, I don't know if you guys care, but I love Pendleton stuff. So didn't turn out to be that wonderful of a week, but happy to have sales nonetheless. My total sales for the week were $795. My total cost of goods was $79. And my total profit after website fees, cost of goods, and any shipping discounts was $550.69. Really not that great. I have been listing, so I don't know what's going on. Usually January is one of my best months, and it's not even looking like I'm going to get to half of what I did last year. So I don't know. We shall see. I sold a total of 15 items, which made my average sale price per sale $53. My average cost of goods $5.27, and my average profit per sale $36.71. I still think all of those are great statistics. Let me know how your guys' sales are. I'm probably going to send out some more offers, maybe update some listings, maybe reduce some prices. That always seems to help. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it's because of, you know, the change in president, which I won't get into the political side of that, but sometimes that can make people unsure about spending when that is going on. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully things turn around. I think that is it for this week. I really appreciate you guys as always, for watching, commenting, giving my videos a thumbs up, being subscribers. You guys just mean so much to me, and I'll see you all again next week. Bye-bye.